What's up with it, guys? We are in Nha Trang, Vietnam, over at the iconic Cham Towers. We're going to take a wander around today and talk about some of the pros and cons to living in Nha Trang. Now that we've been up here for a little bit over a month, we can kind of give you guys a little bit of an idea of some of the challenges we face and some of the things we really enjoy about the city. What's up with it, guys? So we are over at the Cham Towers in Nha Trang, Vietnam. We figured this was a kind of interesting place to shoot a video so we could get some content for you guys while we talk about what our life has been like since we've been here. So far for me, I see more positives than negatives for Nha Trang. There are some negatives for sure, but when you look at the cost of housing here, when you look at the access you have to nature, the beach, and you're still within a drivable distance to Ho Chi Minh City, for me it's more advantages than disadvantages. Probably one of the biggest disadvantages is just the distance between things. Nha Trang is not a huge city, but it's very spread out. So if you're driving yourself, sometimes going across town can mean kilometers of distance. It's true in most Vietnamese cities, but here for sure it's also one of the realities. It's anywhere in Vietnam is going to be a little bit hard for walking if you're into the pedestrian lifestyle, but if you're willing to drive a motorbike, it's actually relatively low traffic here and fairly easy to get around.
Yeah, it's really small. If you have a motorbike, actually, you can get anywhere.
But if you're relying on any kind of apps or Grab or any of these type of services, the distances can make transportation more expensive, in my opinion, than in Saigon, because in Saigon you can travel for long distances for anywhere from 20,000 to 40,000 on a bike.
Yeah, and not all the apps are here. I didn't see Gojek or B here right now.
Another disadvantage would be, again, sticking with the apps, is that a lot of the food delivery here is not on Grab or on, apps for your phone. It's more
you have to message them on Zalo or WhatsApp, or some are on Telegram, actually.
It's more like you got to contact them directly, and basically you're going to need to get Yalo, which is the app that is spelled Zalo, Z-A-L-O, but it's pronounced here as Yalo. It's the app that most people use for business in Vietnam, so if you have that, it'll be easier for you whether you're coming out here to do business or you're just looking to order some food. But again, don't expect to be using lots of app-based services here in Nha Trang because it's somewhat limited to Grab. Seems like Maxim works for motorbikes, but not much in the way of food delivery, so prepare to kind of try to sort out where you're going to eat, contact them directly, get their Yalo or their WhatsApp, and then order from them directly. Another thing I would say that I guess I don't love is that because Nha Trang is close to Ho Chi Minh City, you get massive amounts of tourists that come up for the weekends sometimes, and depending on where you live, your area can get very crowded. The beaches can get very crowded, but
mostly on the weekend though. Weekdays, it's really not that crowded at all. Well, especially if you go at 1 o'clock, no one's there.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The nice thing about you living up here is that you can go to the beaches in the off times. We generally try to go to the beaches on Sundays because most people are going back to the city on Sunday. Another time that's great.
Weekdays,
yeah,
that crowded.
A Tuesday afternoon or a Wednesday afternoon, it's going to be empty.
Really, it's Friday, Saturday, sunset, from 4 till 6. It's crowded.
It can get very crowded, but that's also
Especially
the nicest.
The main beach.
Yes.
It's really bad over there. We did a video over there too.
That's also the nicest time to go though, because you don't get skin cancer from the sun, and it's, the water is still warm even though there's no sun on you, so it's quite pleasant, and that's why a lot of Vietnamese people go at that time. So if you're here on a busy weekend or a holiday weekend, it will definitely get kind of crowded. Probably another disadvantage I would say for Nha Trang is that the airport's about an hour from the city. So if you're trying to commute or do business from here, it can be really difficult.
Yeah, you're better off taking the train because the train, actually, the stop is in town. You got off and you're in town already.
And then you can always fly from Saigon. You could just, or you could get a private driver. Shouldn't cost you, at the time of this video, about $180 to get from here to Saigon with an honest driver.
Right, but the train's really cheap. I think it's 300 dong or something.
Yeah, I mean the train is super cheap. If you want to take a private car, usually what it would be is some kind of a 7-seater van type of situation, and if you have more than one person, you can bring and get your price down. Another disadvantage I would say to Nha Trang would be that if you're not on a long-term visa, you're going to be having a hard time doing border runs from here because you're not really close to a border here.
Right.
You'd have to, from Saigon, it's actually not too bad to Mach Bai, and from Da Nang, it's not too bad to Lao. But Nha Trang is not really positioned very well near a border. You'd have to cross all of the Central Highlands, and it would take quite a long time. So that's another disadvantage. But if you're on a long-term visa, if we arrange for opening a company for you, we can set you up with your TRC, then living here would be no problem at all, because you would have the right to live anywhere you want in Vietnam. I would say a major advantage is that it's not as on the radar as Da Nang, so properties are much cheaper. You can get really nice high-rise accommodation here for very cheap. Even in the city center, you're starting to get into nice accommodation, 2 bedrooms for around 10 to 12 million.
It's much smaller than Da Nang too, right? It's only like 500,000.
Much smaller than Da Nang. It is very spread out still, but it's much less spread out than Da Nang. I find that the areas near to the beach are very dense and like full of activity, retail, restaurants, shops. You know, there's a lot of services for tourists, but also for Vietnamese. Whereas in Da Nang, I found that the areas kind of closer to the beach were more sleepy, and that the riverside of the city was more lively. Here, you kind of get both. You can have the beach, and you can have a little bit more of the action, and it's all like along one road basically that runs the whole duration of the city. As far as for us, for our jiu-jitsu up here, it's been okay. It's average. The level is not exceptionally high, but there's a good black belt from Brazil up here we've been training with, and you know,
seems like the club is growing.
It's growing. He keeps us honest. We get to have little battles with each other. It's great. Can't really complain. But if you're a big jiu-jitsu head like we are, it's probably not the best long-term destination, because other parts of Vietnam do have bigger scenes, more clubs, and more training to offer. But it does seem like there's a lot of Muay Thai up here. So if you're into striking, it seems
and MMA too.
Some MMA stuff. I don't think you're going to have too much of a difficulty finding some good activities to get involved with. I'm really loving the food up here. That's another massive advantage for me.
Yeah, very cheap seafood.
But I mean, I can't really complain. Even some of the Western food is very inexpensive and good. You know, Nha Trang's a really nice city so far. You hear some stuff about it because occasionally people get stuff stolen on the beach, but for the most part, I feel pretty safe here. The people are pretty chill. A little bit of Vietnamese goes a pretty long way, but English is fairly widely spoken here. Russian is widely spoken here.
Oh, if you guys come here and you do speak Vietnamese, you should, because the people will like view you differently.
They warm up to you much quicker, and they're
way more friendly if you speak Vietnamese here.
You don't even have to speak perfectly, but just learning a few words.
You know, just tell them everything you know. They love it.
It makes a huge difference. All right, guys, we're going to take a stroll down to the river. We just finished over at the Cham Ruins. Really beautiful, really peaceful place. If you don't want to get destroyed by the heat, come at around 4:30, 5 o'clock. They're starting to close now, so we're going to head over to the river and catch sunset by the river. Another really nice advantage of Nha Trang is there's so many different types of bodies of water. You have bays, you have the beach, you have rivers cutting through the city, and we're going to go walk along one of the really nice, peaceful river walkways now. The Cham Ruins are really cool spot. Cost 30,000 Vietnam dong a person, so really negligible.
$1, right?
$10, $15. You know, very cool place, but it can get very crowded with tourists. And when we were here the last time, it was just more Chinese than there was ruins. It was crazy how many Chinese were taking pictures of everything. Today there was Vietnamese tour groups, but it wasn't too crazy, and you were still able to get some great shots. We're gonna go for a stroll, and we're gonna take you guys with us. What's up, guys? So we are down at the river. This is one of my favorite parts of Nha Trang. Beautiful setting. I'll show you guys a little bit around. You can see behind me they're doing a lot of construction. They're starting to build a new bridge to cross the river here. It's coming on to sunset, so a really beautiful time to be down here. There's lots of fishing boats just chilling, and you've got a couple different little islands in the river. It's a very peaceful setting. Let's go for a little stroll and continue our conversation, guys. So, for me, one of the biggest advantages of Nha Trang is lifestyle. It's a pretty healthy lifestyle. We have a beach that's not even 50 meters from our door. You know, we go out there and chill in the sea water. There's lots of fresh seafood. The cuisine in this part of Vietnam is really delicious. Really inexpensive for quality food in this part of the country. Massage, very good, very inexpensive compared to prices you'd pay for a massage in Saigon. Your cost of living here is just going to be a lot lower altogether. Nha Trang is a huge bargain compared to Saigon, but the trade-off is you're not going to be able to make money the way you will in Saigon. There is some teaching jobs in Nha Trang, but by and large it would be a very small market. The majority of people who will be living up here will either have their own income, or they'll have some sort of income from online, or they'll invest up here and start a business. But you can see, guys, Nha Trang is a paradise. I mean, it is an absolutely beautiful, breathtaking city that has so much to offer in terms of lifestyle. Now, one thing that's important to talk about is pollution, and Nha Trang is not sheltered from this, unfortunately. Air quality here can get kind of bad. Right now, it's been on average about 80 to 100 PM level in Nha Trang, which is not fantastic, but it's still a lot better than in Saigon or in Hanoi. So you do have issues of pollution, but you don't have the same issues with pollution that you have in Saigon or Hanoi. You do have a lot of construction and construction dust, but again, nowhere near as bad as the large cities here in Vietnam or in other parts of Southeast Asia. You also get a really nice trade wind that comes off of the ocean at night. And it's very, 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 very nice when you've had a really long hot day to feel the cool air. Right now in Saigon, it's hot as fuck. And over here, I couldn't ask for even more perfect weather than what we have now. Nha Trang has really, really, really nice weather compared to Saigon. Seafood is extremely cheap here. You can eat seafood for like really not much money.
High quality, not that chewy shit you got in Saigon.
And I'll show you exactly what
they just caught it and put it in your plate and put garlic on it, you know? That's it.
I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Look at this. So these are boquis, and boquis are seafood restaurants. Normally you'll have one or two next to each other, but this entire strip here is nothing but seafood restaurants. Seafood, 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 seafood. So it's very, very easy for you to get fresh seafood at competitive prices. And I say competitive because literally there is one right next door to the other.
And you have this beautiful view.
And then all you have to do is look out from your seat and take all this in while you enjoy your dinner. And then that'll be almost the perfect day. So I would say if you're thinking about living in Nha Trang, guys, overall it's really hard to go wrong. Nha Trang's a really cool city. There's a lot going on here. It's got great people, great food. You do have some issues. Pollution is probably going to be one of them, but I don't know where you're going to find in Southeast Asia where that's not an issue. You know, most of the cities out here unfortunately deal with some type of pollution. One of the advantages to Nha Trang is you don't have a huge population, so traffic jams, you know, they're not really too crazy here. You do get traffic. Certain times of the day can get a little bit hectic here, but for the most part, it's still pretty tame compared to any larger city in Southeast Asia. There's only about 500,000 people here, so the city is not overcrowded. It doesn't feel too hectic. It's got a laid-back, kind of chilled-out vibe to it. And like I said before, you know, for the most part, I've never really felt unsafe. I know you shouldn't leave your belongings like unguarded at the city beaches downtown and stuff, but even by where we stay, I don't really worry about that too much, because we generally rent from the same guy for beach chairs, and he knows us, and we've got a relationship with him. I've had a great time here in Nha Trang so far. I don't really have any major complaints. I would say the only thing that would be a little bit of a hassle is logistics. Getting in and out of here can be a hassle. The international airport's pretty far from the city, and Saigon is a drive. But it's still, at least you can do it in one day, so it's not too bad. You know, whereas if you're living in Da Nang and you had to get to Saigon, like during the pandemic, my best friend was living in Da Nang and he had to get down to Saigon, and it was a real pain in the ass. He ended up having to sit in a car for, I don't even remember how many hours, but it was long, and he had to go through checkpoints and all this crazy stuff. Now, thankfully, all that's over with, but nonetheless, if there was an emergency, you're quite far from the main international airport and the embassies. And you know, in Nha Trang, you're a little bit closer to all the embassies and to the Ho Chi Minh City airport, but you're still going to be a fairly decent drive. Whereas if you live in Vung Tau, you're only about an hour and a half to the city. Moi Ne, maybe 4 hours to the city. Here it's almost 8 or 9 hours into Ho Chi Minh City. Da Nang would be even further, but one of the advantages, Da Nang's airport actually does get flights to other places. Nha Trang is a relatively unused airport. You do actually get surprisingly direct flights from Russia here, but as far as getting to like other parts of Southeast Asia, very often you're going to need to transit through Ho Chi Minh City or to Hanoi or to a larger Vietnamese airport before you can go anywhere from here. How's this for a perfect setting, guys? So we're walking along this bridge that connects where we live to the main center of the city. We stay in the northern side of the city, and this bridge takes you towards downtown. You can see on the other side over here, this is towards the main city center of Nha Trang. And I've been wanting to take this walk since we got here because it's really, really beautiful. You have the ocean on the other side here. You guys can see. And this is basically the main road for Nha Trang. This one road cuts through almost the entire city, guys. It's pretty easy to get around.
It goes along the ocean.
Oh yeah, and some of the stops along the way are quite beautiful, like this bridge, and you also have some rocks formation that is actually really impressive, kind of towards the northern side of the city. You have the giant lotus in the city center. Nha Trang has a lot of really beautiful stuff to see, and you can see from what we're walking next to just how incredibly beautiful this city really is. You definitely get insane beautiful nature here in Nha Trang, and you get a cost of living that is really, really hard to argue with. Now, like I said before, this is not the ideal city for people looking to do visa runs, but if you have the capital to set up a company, this is a fantastic place to live, to have a great quality of life. There is a Russian community here, and you hear some things about it online, but for the most part, I found all the Russian people to be pretty nice, and they stay to themselves, they're polite. It's a very, very low-key, you know. I've not had issues with anybody. I've only seen one guy kind of stumbling around a little too drunk for his own good, but he didn't get himself into too much mischief. Really, Nha Trang is just a nice place, guys. It's clean. It's got good sidewalks and roads.
Hey guys, so the food shopping is pretty good here. You can buy like cheese, you can buy fresh croissants and stuff, which is awesome. We've been eating like butter croissant and eggs at home, so good. But yeah, it's very easy to find Western food if you want to cook it. It's easy to order food as well, as long as you go through the apps and stuff. I would recommend going to the restaurant first, probably, and then ask if they deliver.
We have had no trouble finding good restaurants over by where we're staying. And in the city center, there's even more.
They have everything. They have Vietnamese, they have vegetarian, they have seafood, they have Western food, you know, like you can get pretty much everything. There's a Greek restaurant here. I found Mexican here. So it is like pretty diverse with the food options here.
And guys, if you look ahead of me, there's that tall building coming up on the right. That's called Muang Tan. And there's Muang Tans up and down this entire road. They're luxury buildings that are Vietnamese company. I don't know if they're just hotels and condos everywhere, but here in Nha Trang, they're normally both. There'll be some condos and there'll be some hotel units. And these are decent places to stay, guys. They're not going to be as fancy as some of the other buildings in town, but they do offer very low rents, and a lot of times they come with really nice views. The closer you get into the center of Nha Trang, the more expensive that the Muang Tans get. But there's a Muang Tan up by where we're staying, there's one past where we're staying, and then there's this one coming up. And then there's another one right in the city center. So it's almost like every few kilometers you have a Muang Tan luxury property. I mean, it's like I guess like a chain here. We stayed in Muang Tan when we were in Laos, actually. So this is kind of funny that we're running into them again, and they're everywhere in Nha Trang. It's funny because when I was in Vung Tau or Moi Ne or in Da Nang, I don't remember just seeing so many of these. I wonder if they're like taken off everywhere now, or if this is like a Nha Trang thing. But yeah, guys, overall, Nha Trang's a nice place. You know, you really can have a good life. You're not going to spend a lot of money. And look at the landscape that you get to see every day. Look how beautiful this place is.
That's where we were, right?
Yeah, we were over here, guys.
That lit up tower, we were over there.
That glowing light, that tower is the Cham Towers. That's where we started the video. So now we've walked some ways and we're heading towards the city center. I figure it was a great place to shoot a video. We wanted to take you guys out while we talked about a subject, and it gives us an excuse to film some really great stock footage for Nha Trang, Vietnam as well. And all I can tell you guys is, you know, Vietnam's not as easy to stay in as it was years ago, but it's still a very, very worthwhile place. And you might need a little more dough to get situated if you want to live out here, but you know, I still think it's pretty good value. You still get a great quality of life. You don't spend a lot of money. I really love Vietnamese food compared to some of the neighboring countries. I find it to be very healthy, lots of vegetables. And I mean, guys, come on, how can you argue with this scenery? You know, right now, we're only paying about 8 million Vietnam dong, and that's a short-term lease for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment up here. You know, and if you go into the city center, you might spend a little bit more, maybe 10 to 12 million, but that's still not a lot of money, guys, considering the quality that you end up getting in Vietnam. Thailand is great also. They're different places, they have different flavors, they have different pros and cons, you know, but to discount Vietnam is definitely a mistake. It's really a beautiful place, and you can make money in this country. People are very, very business focused. And that's one of the things I love about Vietnam is people are entrepreneurial and people are eager to make some money. So you know, you can come out here and you can really build a life for yourself here. And even if you don't decide to stay in Vietnam long term, it's a great place to build some capital, to test the business idea, to figure out your life. And if you don't have a lot of money, it's a great place to teach English and to accumulate some. So I'll leave it to you. If you think you would live in Nha Trang, please let us know in the comments section below. If you like our video, please smash the like button. A disproportionate amount of people are not subscribed to our channel. So lots of you are watching, not everybody's subscribing. We would appreciate it if you watch the video and you do like it, just take a second to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell just in case they decide to not show you our content. You know, we appreciate you. We're a small family business. If you guys are thinking of coming to Southeast Asia, get a hold of us. We have a lot of things on the horizon. We also are doing things in the Balkans. We have contacts in Latin America. Just reach out to us with your dream expat destination and we'll be able to help you figure it out. If you're thinking about retiring, we're working with a lot of retired people lately, helping them kind of sort out where they'd want to spend their retirement. So please reach out to us. We're happy to give you guys some advice. We're not going to ask you for money straight away. We just, you know, we're happy to explain our service and tell you a little bit about what we do. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and share. And once again, guys, if you don't mind, like, comment, share the videos. We really appreciate it. We want to make expat living accessible for normal people, and we want to help people get the most out of their life. We believe that travel, living in different cultures, is one of the greatest things you can do in your life. And we don't want anyone to miss out on opportunity. We're here to make sure that your transition overseas is smooth, peaceful, and without any stress whatsoever. Reach out to us. All our contact information is in the description below.
Brush your face and wash your teeth, son.
Hey, what's up? I'm D from Canada. Hook up with the New York Nomad if you want a smooth ride into Vietnam or any Southeast Asian countries.
Hey, my name is Aaron. Get in contact with the New York Nomads. If you want to get into Vietnam, hit them up. They'll get you in securely and professionally.
Yo, this is Uncle Hollywood. I'm telling you right now, the New York Nomad got me a job. He's legit. Hit him up. Check him out.
New York Nomad set me up in Vietnam.
Yo, my man got me a job. Come to Vietnam.
Hey, what's up, guys? You thinking about coming to Vietnam? You're not sure where to start. You've heard a lot of things online. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's not. We offer a consulting service where we help you get on your feet in Vietnam. We give you advice on negotiating contracts with employers. We help you with real estate agents, visa agents that are reliable and that you can trust. We help you get started in this amazing country and get on your feet. We help you get into different opportunities that might be more difficult for you if you were just landing in the country on your own. And we help you avoid a lot of the pitfalls and problems that you could have as a newcomer here. We provide you with reliable job recruiters, visa agents, real estate agents, and advice. If you guys are thinking about coming to Vietnam, hit us up for a consultation. We'll help you get started, help you get on your feet, and hopefully you'll love Vietnam as much as we do.